Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with Will Fleury ahead of his fight against Pavel Langer at Octagon 62. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good man. Yeah, ready to smash a cunt.
I was about to say, how do you feel? How has training camp been for this fight?
It's been a good camp overall. Like I've been going back and forth to Birmingham a little bit. Just getting some spars in over there. We're kind of lacking big lads in SPG just at the moment. So it was a bit different that way, where a lot of my rounds were with lighter guys for most of the
Yeah,
camp. So I was kind of focused more on just drilling things and technique and not really doing like very hard, very intense rounds up until recently. And then the last few weeks, thankfully, I've managed to get in a few kind of like harder, sharper rounds. And I think, to be honest, this will be the way I do it in future because I realize like I'm not banged up going into this fight, or
yeah,
well, touch wood, there's 2 weeks left, but like so far, no major injuries or anything like that going into this one. And even throughout camp, things weren't too bad. So I think it's a better way of doing it. You can learn more, you know.
exactly. And before your last fight, I remember reading how Carl Moore and Johnny Walker at SBG has helped raise you up to be a better fighter as well.
Yeah, big time. But just right now, the lads like Johnny's over in Thailand.
Yeah,
And Carl's not around at the moment either. So like that's why I've been traveling a bit because there's a lack of big guys. Like normally they'd be my hard rounds in the camp. But just the last 5, 6 weeks, nobody's been around. So I've had to use other people.
exactly. And how do you feel like this fight is going to play out?
Look, I think the main thing is that I don't underestimate Pavel. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't look like a massively skilled fighter, but then you see that he's fighting fairly tough guys, guys who aren't terrible, and he's giving them very hard fights. I think man, if I'm worth my fucking salt at all, I should be able to get in and finish this guy pretty quickly. But I think the main thing is being a little bit patient and also knowing that he's going to be a big lad, he's going to be strong, he's going to be physically fit. All of those things are there. He has those. But at the same time, man, back yourself to be the skilled martial artist who sees the holes, who takes those opportunities. And I would be very, very disappointed myself if I don't finish him and if I don't do that in emphatic fashion. So the opportunity to finish that guy is definitely there. But don't underestimate the fact that he's going to be a tough fucker. And when you hit him hard, he's still going to be there. And then it's about being patient and not blowing your load too early. So what I've seen in most of his fights is guys hurt him. They fucking run at him as if they're about to finish him. They start unloading. They gas out within 30 seconds of that. And then he's got them in a clinch and it's a tough fight. And he comes back into it a lot of the time. So it's when you hurt the guy, when you've tagged him, patience, pick your shots, lots of feints, keep being precise. And that's why you're a professional.
exactly. And do you feel like it also helps that obviously you're confident in your abilities, but you're not going to go in there and underestimate Pablo?
Big time. I think like really I'm like I know look, I'm talking shit about like finishing the guy and if I'm worth my salt at all.
Yeah,
The guy's tough. You can't deny that. And like he's gonna be a good, strong athlete who's gonna come in fit and hard. If you get this wrong tactically, it's gonna be a fucking tough fight.
yeah,
You gotta be ready for a tough fight. Like I'm not underestimating like, you know, if you thought you were gonna finish a guy in the first round and you couldn't see any other way through the fight, well what's the fucking point in being well conditioned? I've been doing a shitload of conditioning for this fight. If I can't get rid of that guy, grand, we'll be there. I'll be there in the third round. I'll be going just as hard. Like I've built an engine to keep that pace regardless. So like if he is able to weather the storm, great. I'm I'm here. I'm still
yeah,
coming at you. It's 2.5 rounds in. I've done the work. You know, there wasn't anything left unturned in this fight. I didn't leave it to fucking chance to go, oh, I should knock you out in the first round. No, I've trained my fucking balls off, so I'm ready regardless of what happens. Like,
and obviously with the whole card overall, there is three title fights on this card. Do you feel like that's just bringing even more eyes onto this card in particular?
big time. Yeah, look, like in fairness, even if you look at the card in Brno last weekend, Octagon are putting on serious fights at the moment.
Yeah,
The big thing, like from my point of view, is I need to make a statement in this one. Like, if I was some 27-year-old Czech lad, coming in with my skill set, they'd be fucking all over me and I'd be straight into a title fight. I know that, right? But I'm 35 and I'm Irish. I have to go out there and be emphatic and make a statement and get on that mic afterwards and be like, yeah, here, this is what's going to happen. So I have a little plan for after I win this one about who I'm going to call out and how it's going to happen. And look, Pirate and Carlos Vermola are going to fight each other on the 9th of November in Bratislava. And I want the winner of that fight 100%. So I think no matter what, I'm next in line for that title shot. But I have to make it that it's undeniable that I should be that guy, you know?
Exactly. And are you going to travel to Bratislava and watch that fight live?
I would love to. Yeah. So look, if Oktagon are up for that, and like, this is the thing, make it happen. That's on me. So like, I have to go and do the business against Pablo first. I have to make a big statement. It has to be an emphatic finish, and it has to be like, something that the fans are going to go, whoa, shit,
Yeah.
this guy's legit as fuck, But
Yeah.
once I go and do that, they'll want me there. So it's not about going, hey guys, you should be bringing me over. Shouldn't it be a fucking question? It should just be like, yeah, obviously you're going to be there. And it's on me to make that something that's real.
Exactly. And I remember you were saying before your last fight that you can't afford another defeat. Do you still see that?
Yeah, big time. And like, it's not even I can't afford it. Like from a record point of view and all that type of shit. Yeah, like I'd be fine. But
Yeah.
from a investment, like from what I'm putting into this, and if I lose a fight, what the potential of getting something out of it is, of what I want to get out of it, no, it doesn't make sense anymore. To be this invested in martial arts and to be this focused and this driven towards the whole thing. If I lost the fight now, if I lost any of these guys, it's just like, well, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like you're a 35-year-old who's pouring all of his time and effort and energy into this thing. That doesn't make sense anymore. So like that's the point of view I'm looking at it from. Like, and that's not something I fear, but it's like, hey, there's a responsibility here. You're fucking allowing yourself to do all of this because you're saying, yeah, I'm chasing something. I'm going to be the best at this. Okay, good. Go and show me. So I feel like I'm holding myself accountable by being like, mate, if you lose to any of these cunts, that's not what you're fucking doing here.
Yeah.
You're not going out being the best. You're just fucking deluding yourself. So like the level of like, accountability to myself is there to be like, well, mate, like, look, if you were fighting fucking John Jones, yeah, okay, you can accept that like that's an either way kind of fight. Possibly you're gonna fucking lose there. But with any of these lads, no, you should be fucking smashing them. That's who you are. You're Will fucking Fleury. You get in, you're one of the best in the world. Go fuck these guys up.
Exactly. And in your last fight against Daniel Scoover, you were able to get the second round stoppage. How did you feel like the fight was going up until that finish?
Yeah, pretty good now. Like I'd broken my hand a couple of weeks before that fight, and it was a pretty significant injury. Like I've said this a few times now, but warming up for that fight was kind of a funny experience because I wasn't able to train MMA for about 2 weeks before the fight. I didn't know what I would and wouldn't be able to do on the night. There was a good bit I wasn't able to do. So like once I got in the cage, I was all good. It was just like, okay, you're gonna try to fuck me, and I'm going to fuck you. But it was the path seemed unclear because I had I was watching that for
Yeah.
fucking months before that fight. Once the hand was broken, it was like, oh shit, all of that's a little bit out the window. I don't know what I can and can't do anymore. And then on the night of the fight, I had to figure out what I could and couldn't do. So like there were certain things I couldn't base on my hand. I couldn't even fully flex my wrist because my hand was so swollen. And then obviously any of my grips, like I got his back at one stage and I'd normally be able to submit a guy like him pretty easily. But as soon as he was grabbing over my hand, it was just like, okay, fuck that. It's too painful to do that. And even with you, like it's weird because like adrenaline covers the pain a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's like your body still doesn't give you the full power of that thing. So I was like, at one stage, I was trying to push through the grip, and he was just holding over, and it was like my brain isn't allowing me to like push into him anymore. So it's just like, all right, fuck it, you got to go and look at something else. But thankfully, like I didn't panic in that situation. I was still just like, there's a way to finish this guy. And look, besides, he landed a few pretty good elbows when I was trying to take him down in the first round. Besides that, there wasn't that much adversity in that fight. Like once I took him down, I kind of had my way with him. And once we started to exchange on the feet, I was hitting like they might not look like the sharpest punches, but I was kind of clubbing the side of his head quite a lot with big like winged
Yeah.
shots. And I knew they were hurting. I could feel the way they were landing on him. And then I kicked him in the liver twice pretty hard as well. And I knew those shots are doing damage. So once we were on the field, I was like, okay, you're getting fucked up here. And then I dropped him at the end of the first round. And then I knew, by the way, I dropped him because those two liver shots landed flush. And then I caught him kind of like up around here.
Yeah.
And he just went down. It wasn't even like he was actually kind of going away from that shot, but the way it hit him, it just kind of messed up his equilibrium. And then when I was on top of him, when I was landing the hammer fist, I could feel the liver shots had already kind of sucked the energy out of him, and he didn't have the full energy to like sprawl back up or resist fully.
Yeah,
So I was landing in. I think, to be honest, if there was another 10 seconds in that round, it would have been over. And I knew that going into second, because even like at the end of the first, I was like, "You've got 60 seconds, mate. Best of luck." And I fucked off back to my corner. And I don't know if he even understood me because his English wasn't the best, but like my mentality was just like, you're fucked.
yeah,
And I was looking at him like I was kind of like he was getting his breath back in the corner, and I was just staring him out of it. It was like, as long as you know how fucked you are, we're grand here. Like, so I went out and put it on him in a second, and it was over pretty quickly. Like,
exactly. And obviously, you did fight in the PFL, and you did have that no contest due to that positive test. I'll
yeah,
let you explain your side of it. I know a lot of fighters that year did get positive readings as well.
yeah, yeah. Look, I've talked about this quite a bit before, but like, essentially, I was given the chance to move up 10 kilos in weight and fight for $1 million. I think a lot of guys seem to have the same idea I did. Uh, I realized, like, you know, there was like, I'm not defending it at all. I did what I did. I served the time. Like, I got fucking fined and suspended.
Yeah,
Um, but at the same time, what I will say is like, I think if you put 95% of people in that situation, they're probably going to do something similar. And I do think like the usage of performance enhancers in MMA is something that needs to be a little bit more widely acknowledged, if you get me.
yeah.
But it's not my fucking place to do that. I'm not like it's on public record. I'm not defending myself. I'm fully fucking putting my hands in the air and saying, yeah, I went and did that. I can explain, or the motivation was mostly financial, but also there was a thing of like, well, I don't want to get my ass whooped by a guy who's way bigger than me. And you see, I did actually have that happen to me before during COVID. So the last fight I lost was to a light heavyweight guy while I was a middleweight. It was Maciej Krzyzanski was the guy, and I fought him when I weighed about 91 kilos, which was silly. That was my fucking, arrogance in a way to think that you could go in against a much bigger man and beat the shit out of him, even though he was a well trained fighter.
Yeah.
Um, and I wasn't going to let that happen to me again in a way. So there was a personal kind of, I suppose, fear of fucking trauma there of like going like, hey, you don't want to let that shit happen to you again. But I think even without any of that, I probably would have gone and done it. So look, fuck it. I did it. I
And
got caught. I served the time.
and do you feel like that's one of the benefits of being in Octagon is just like the PFL, they do have a tournament um, style as well. Yes, it's not with the light heavyweights just yet, but you never know, that could be next year. Do you feel like that is one of the benefits?
I'd love to do a tournament. Like, I saw your man Muradov. They're doing the game changer at middleweight next year. And he's like, oh, I'm not waking weight every 2 months. Man, I'd fucking love to fight that dude. So I would hope that he'd go for that tournament. And to be honest, I was hoping to get this belt by December, but now the way it's all playing out, it looks like that's not likely. If that tournament was starting next April or so, then I could win the belt early next year and move down. I have no problem moving down once I have the belt in my hands, if you get me. I want that fucking
Yeah,
belt badly. But once I do, middleweight wouldn't be that big of an issue. And I reckon it would be difficult and I'd need to be financially fucking compensated for it. But I reckon I could make middleweight within 2 months. It would just be, can you justify the effort and the shitness of this financially? And as long as that's the case, then yeah, I can do it because it won't be pleasant. Like, I fucking hate dieting. Dieting is the one shit part of the sport. But hey, if you're giving me big fights and there's a chance to win $1 million, or it's a million total prize money, whatever, but it's still significant money that
yeah.
you're going to be winning. Yeah, fine, I'll do it, no problem.
And so you have fought in middleweight before. Is that the
Yeah,
reason you went back to light heavyweight was due to how much it was draining you?
yeah. So like, I was a decent sized middleweight for most of my career, and then actually during COVID, I lost. I was doing a lot of running and shit, so I lost quite a lot of weight. But then it was because of the PFL tournament being at light heavyweight was the reason I moved up. And then once I was that big, like, so I had to get a lot bigger, and I did a lot of steroids and shit,
Yeah.
obviously, to do that. But then once I was that size, it's kind of like, oh, well, it's actually easier to maintain this. But funny, the last kind of 3 or 4 months, I'm finding it difficult to maintain the weight. So I'm a good bit lighter than I was this time 6 months ago. Now that's going to make this weight cut a lot easier, which is great. But it also tells me, well, if you're not trying to hold on to all this weight, you could probably lose it again pretty easily. That's something I'd need to find out. And like sometimes it's pretty easy to lose weight when you're not intending to. And then when you know you need to lose a shitload of weight, your body kind of holds on to it a little bit more. And it's about how you plan that. And there's techniques and tactics to do that. But like I'm disciplined enough that whatever the plan is, I'll follow a plan. And I will get that done if I have to. But give me a reason to go and do it. And to me, winning that fucking game changer tournament, if it's at middleweight, that would be a big enough reason. So I want the belt first at light heavy, but I would love to do that middleweight tournament as well.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, I remember reading at the start of your career, you didn't like fighting at all. However, you have since grown to love it.
Yeah, that was something that kind of happened over time. And I'm pretty fucking honest about the fact that before my first fight, I was literally like, what the fuck am I doing here? This was my first amateur fight, not professional. Like by the time I
Yeah,
was a pro, I was kind of hardened in the
yeah,
head. But it was kind of a sense of like, well, look, everybody else is out fucking enjoying their Saturday evening, and you're sitting here shitting yourself, thinking like about to go out and possibly embarrass yourself in front of all your mates, and then maybe get the shit kicked out of you, mate. Like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? So you have that fight or flight, that was there 100%. And I was like, fuck this shit. And then I kind of stayed above myself and I was like, here, mate, go out tonight, smash this guy, never fucking walk into a gym again. You never have to do this shit
yeah,
again. Just go and smash this guy. And then 20 minutes before the fight, I was pumped and all that. That was earlier in while I'm in the dressing room while getting warmed up and all that type of shit. But as soon as you fight, then you're like, fuck, that is some adrenaline rush. So I think it was like the addiction to the adrenaline rush that was catching me early on. And then eventually it became like, oh, I actually just fucking loved the fight. Like, as in, I don't think many lads actually enjoy the fight part of it. Whereas, I do, I get a fucking massive
yeah.
buzz. Even in a way, and I know this sounds a bit crazy, but if a guy is beating the fuck out of me a little bit, it kind of gets me going. It's like there's a buzz to that. It's like, no, genuine, and I've noticed this over time. It's not something that was always in me or that I thought would be part of my character. But it's like, okay, cool, great. We can fucking start to go now because I know I'm not going to break. Let's see how good you actually are. And can I fucking break you? And that's what gets my juices really flowing. So it's the spars where I'm going at a guy, and he's got answers and he's good. And I'm like, all right, let's find out. Let's find out some more. And look, 90% of the fucking time, I find out and the guys break. But I respect, this is the thing. This is why, I'm talking all this shit, man, because I am that guy. And I found out over years, it's like, oh shit, I don't break. I do keep going. Even I've got the fucking shit kicked out of me in a few fights as well. I never fucking mentally broken any of those fights. I was always the guy
Yeah,
trying my absolute fucking utmost. While I've definitely mentally broken. Even look, Shakur, he's a good guy. He's a fucking solid fighter. But end of that first round, he didn't want to be in that fight anymore. There's part of him that's like, fuck this shit. I've yet to have that happen to me. And I'm not saying that nobody can bring you to that place, but I always feel like I'm going to be the guy bringing you there. You're not going to be the guy bringing me there. And I love that it's this game, that it is that thing of well, I'm just going to use my body to break your soul. And it sounds a bit fucking sadistic, but breaking another man and knowing that it's just my mind did this to you. You are quitting because of who I am. That's fucking incredible. And when you feel that, when you know that you've broken another man, it's not fucked up. But it's I've used my wits, my brain, my
yeah,
fucking power, my intelligence, all that shit to break your soul. And you thought you wanted this, and now you know you don't. And we both feel that. We both know that. That's a fucking that gets you going. And I look, you can probably feel it now. I fucking genuinely love those situations. And I will continue. I'm kind of fucked up in the sense of I'm gonna fight until I can't fight anymore because that thing is in me. That's part of my soul now, and that's part of what gets my fucking jollies in life. So unfortunately I'm tied into that for as long as I can't or until I can't do this shit. So yeah, it's great in a way, and like it gives you a passion. And like, look, you learn good ways of doing that. You like if you're fucking paying attention, you really want to be that good, you're going to use your brain a lot more. And that like that's one thing. It's like it sounds very like blood and guts, but sometimes the way to break a man isn't to fucking go at him as hard as you can. Most of the time, the way to break a man isn't to go at him as hard as you can. Most of the time, it's about just being a little bit smart. Like I was saying there with the Pavel fight, this isn't about running out and smashing Pavel and being the most aggressive cunt going. No, it's about being disciplined, about being tactical, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, ultimately, we get to that situation where you don't want to be there. And like, that's empowering. I love that feeling. It's like, I've done that. I've made you not want to be here. And look, a knockout's great. The guys,
Yeah,
you can get knocked out, you never have that choice. You never have that moment of like breaking. And that, like, but it's like, you made a huge mistake. I capitalized on that huge mistake. I outtaught you. That's a cool feeling as well, obviously. But like, it doesn't actually give me the jollies as much as like you're here in the fucking sixth, seventh minute of this fight, questioning yourself and saying like, "Whoa, fuck, this guy's fucking relentless. Like, why is he still coming? How is he able to do this? How is he able to do that? I haven't felt that before. Good, you know, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so I love that shit now.
and do you feel like Irish MMA is on the rise? You also have you with 12 and 3, and then in Bellator, you have Kieran Clark, you have Carl Muir, Darryl Kelly, and
Yeah,
then PFL, Paul Hughes, and then you've got a lot of fighters like Ian Gary, Shannon Bannon already in the UFC. Do you feel like
yeah.
it is on the rise now?
So, like, here's the thing: the younger generation coming up are so much more talented coming up than we were. So, like, look, myself, Carl, some of the older guys, we're at a level at the moment, but we're 10 years ahead of them guys.
Yeah.
Where they're going to be in 10 years' time is going to be way ahead of where we'll get. Like, my whole purpose in life now is to be as good a martial artist as possible, right? I'm seeing where they're at, and I'm comparing myself at their age to me. Like, I'm like, they're fucking way better at this age than I was at their age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm excited about what like. Even there's kids you don't even know their fucking names yet, but they're coming up and they're going to be fucking great. The talent pool is so much bigger, and I hate when I hear commentators they're kind of shitting on kid like 24-year-olds who are probably more talented than they were when they were fucking even at the peak of their careers, and they're shitting on these guys. And I'm like, lads, the talent within martial arts has increased fucking so much in the time I've
Yeah.
been involved. I go back and I look at my amateur fights, and I'm like, God, that's fucking horrendous. It's dog shit technique. Even like the level of knowledge we had was just so fucking inferior to what's out there now. And like the level of coaching, the level of everything, it's improved so much in the period of time I've been involved. It's exciting to see where the level will get to. And obviously, like, I think we'll see different skill sets, we'll see evolution in the game coming in. But like overall, I would imagine there's going to be a much more professional culture in fighting within Ireland within the next, you know, 5, 6 years, I would think. And that's exciting in one way, but it's also like as things become more professional, they become a bit more like commercial and sanitized and all that type of
Yeah.
thing. And one of the things I loved about MMA was the madness of it and just how raw some of the shit is. So you're gonna lose that element of it, but also like it's a like I think from a fucking athletics perspective and from a technique perspective, you're gonna see a much higher quality of martial arts in the next 15. And like I'm saying that's worldwide, but in Ireland, yes, we have a lot of talent coming up. And even like I think there's been a slight underestimation of the talent here because we did have a generation that did quite well, but some of those guys weren't necessarily, they were just tough guys and they weren't necessarily the best martial artists. They were just like really tough men. Whereas we have a generation coming up that are actually extremely skilled martial artists. And like this will, I kind of like the big chip on my shoulder is like, I was kind of in the in between generation where you were like, oh, well, you're not part of the golden generation. It's like, well, that golden generation, I bet the fuck on all those guys. Like, they were shy. Like, you know? So, and then this generation coming up are legitimately better at my age than I was, and they're going to be better martial artists. Like, but I'm like, here, I'm right now the number one fucking thing. Like, as in, I said this in an interview a couple of weeks ago, but it's the truth. Nobody on this island beats the shit out of me. If you put me in a cage with 4 ounce gloves with any fucking individual on this island, I beat the fuck out of them. That's reality now. I've made that the situation. I get fuck all for that. That pisses me off because like it took a lot of effort to be this guy.
Yeah,
I've poured fucking my soul into this shit for 15 years now. I want my reward. Like, I want to get, and like, look, this is what the Octagon thing is about as well. Go out there and fucking get it. But it's like, yeah, I've gone and done that. I've trained this hard to be this guy. I feel overall it kind of needs to be a bit more. It needs to be a bit, it's like, hey, fuck you, I'm this, you know, acknowledge that I'm not like, and like, it's only a window. I know I'm not going to be here forever, but I'm the guy now. And I feel like it's not really widely known that I'm the guy. So
yeah,
I need to go. Look, it's on me to get out there and show that. Like,
yeah, and you definitely will. Do you feel like
there's-
after MMA that's you completely done, or would you transition into something like maybe boxing or bare knuckle boxing?
it depends on the money. Bare knuckle, I'm not mad about. I've broken my hands a fuckload of times already, and I just like I've seen Artem. Like I was around Artem while he was doing the bare knuckle, and like Artem's face has returned to basically normal. Well, man, for a couple of years that can't look different. Like, I'm too pretty for that shit. Like, so I don't know. I could do boxing. Like, I wouldn't mind doing a bit of boxing, but like, I'll be honest, I'd like to think that I'm already not young.
Yeah,
So I would like to think by the time I'm done with MMA, I'm done with like I would still train a little bit and do a bit of jiu-jitsu and whatever, but like I would like to think that the competitive like I've made financially what I need to make to be okay and that the competitive juices are done. Because MMA, like look, I went off, I competed in jiu-jitsu, I did a load of fucking the ADCCs and all that shit. Like I enjoy them. They're good fun. It's not like the buzz of MMA though. Like when I went on MMA fight, I'm fucking, it's like taking ecstasy. It's you're fucking massively elevated. Like in terms of dopamine, everything's just going crazy in your brain. You're delighted with life. Everything is fucking amazing. Like nothing else gives me that. I don't know if boxing would give me that. I don't know if I could get that from other combat sports. And I would hope that I'm not in a position where I need to do any of that shit.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't plan on it, but like, if things aren't going well, or if you see me doing it, it's like, oh fuck, he needs to be doing this. Like, yeah.
And and I remember reading that in your inspirations when you're growing up watching the UFC, it was Cain Velasquez as well as Matt Hughes. Is that correct?
Yeah, like Matt Hughes less so, but Kane definitely. There would have been a good few guys. So like, look, everyone watched GSP at that stage. Like it was
Yeah.
kind of I had like Bravo on fucking Sky Digital, and that's how I was watching. It was all the old cards. It was like there was a lot of Matt Hughes actually. Yeah, so maybe I did say yeah. Like probably at the time I was thinking of him a lot more. So Matt Hughes, GSP, and then like what I noticed was Kane when he Kane beat Brock because I was already training at that stage, and like I was like, oh, be
Yeah.
powerful, be strong, be whatever. And I was like, oh, this Brock Lesnar guy's gonna smash Kane. And I looked at him and I was like, whoa, fuck, he's beating, and he went to shit out of him. And then after that, I was like, fuck, fascinating, like with this guy. It's like, how is he able to beat the shit out of Brock Lesnar? And it was like, here, mate, it's not all just power. Like, look at this lad, he's very technical. And it took me a while, like, I was not a fast learner in this game. Definitely not. Like, when I got into it, I was from a rugby background. I thought everything was just physical and all that. I had very little balance. I wasn't even like my posture was shit. I didn't move very well. I wasn't that flexible. So all of those things came afterwards. Like I had to kind of redesign myself mentally and physically to be like, here, you need to be able to move these ways and you need to be able to be like less involved in a fight and more just tactical and pragmatic about things.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, from that, like I think Kane was a huge one to make me see that. Like this isn't this isn't just being the best athlete and being the most powerful guy. This is a tactical experiment and a technical experiment as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you'll do great in your fight. Now, I'll let you have the final word. Is there anything you want to add or anyone you wanting to shout out?
Loads of people like I have three sponsors, Perform Nutrition, Chiropractics, the guy Paul Bradley inside Dublin, and he's amazing. He's clinics everywhere around Dublin. And it was Flow Recovery are the third lads, and they're great with me. They have a really good recovery centre out in Clondalkin or in Park West in Dublin. So those are the three sponsors, and they're very, very good to me, and can't thank them enough. And then just anyone who's coached me over the years, and like even like look, I've been in a bunch of different gyms and traveled around a lot, and like it's too many fucking people to mention, but like I would hope that people know how much I appreciate how much like or the time that they've given me, and that they know how much of a difference it's made in my life to make me who I am at the moment, you know. So just that, yeah. Sorry.
No, completely fine. And I know you'll go out and get that victory and you'll get
Yes.
that title shot in the future.
Cheers. Love it. Thanks, man.